Everyone. So ultimately, previous video didn't work. I tried to be live on LinkedIn, but that didn't work. So that's why I thought, okay, it's better if I started streaming in YouTube directly, and I think it's working better. So let me share this stream link with LinkedIn with others in LinkedIn, so they can get access to it. Give me a moment. On if anyone able to listen me, and or if anyone issue any facing any issue, feel free to let me know before I start the session. Okay, I think it's fine now. Okay, it looks like it's working. Now let me share the link with others. Didn't work. Okay. Hey, hi. Yeah, finally. I tried to be on LinkedIn, but it didn't work. So, Cyclone, let me just give me 5 minutes. So I just post about it. Otherwise, Okay. Okay. Now the post is also done. Okay. Now the question. Okay. Okay. So, Cyclone, your question about how learning can DevOps will help a senior web developer who is into knows coding front end, Angular, React, couple backend languages. MySQL, I've been doing manual production releases all the time. Now, learning DevOps will surely will increase your professional, more opportunities will get. That's first point. Secondly, you just know about like in normal releases, you just do the software and release in a server and all. But when you're developing for big softwares, I mean big companies, then you have to actually think about the scaling. You have to think about suppose thing will happen when you go into this entire DevOps scenario. And see, failure will happen. Even I programmed something and I did something, still the system will fail. That can fail, of course. Even Amazon, Google, their cloud system also failed when the problem happened recently, right? So it can happen, it can always happen. But we have to make the system so it can stand any failure. Like suppose you normally deploy application to a particular server and the server get hanged. Just suppose, and or just suppose that the software get attacked by your application will go down, it will be disastrous. But if you deploy your application in three availability zone, like or maybe there is auto scaling enabled, then what will happen if the one server goes down, automatically a new server will go up. And if you put load balancer, suppose too many requests coming, then load will be balanced in multiple machines. So that's how the attack will be handled. There is still another thing, because normal and manual, you put too much human effort, and something happened by the human, there is always the chance of error. But if you do the automation way, I mean, like a thing that you program and will work similar way every time. So if you do automation, CI/CD pipeline, and the auto deployment kind of thing, you just don't have to worry. You push the changes, it go to Git, and in Git you have some web links, and it get called upon the pushing or merging, and it built automatically. So there will be no human efforts involved. So that is the point. You should, as a normal developer, suppose you're a backend developer or just front end developer, your task end as soon as, suppose as a backend developer you develop the API, as a front end developer you just done with the changes. Now as a full stack developer role, you have to actually deploy application in the server as well. So that's the difference between three roles. And normally I'm handling the full stack developer role, so I'm doing the programming, I'm doing front end sometime, most of the time the backend development using Node.js, but I'm also handling all the deployment for all of my clients. Now here's one catch. Suppose you are the suppose you are the person handling all the thing, and your working hours going to increase. So suppose your front end development, you're charging $10, $10 per month, maybe $20 a month, whatever, sorry, per hour. Now if you think like that, your daily, or maybe say not daily, say it weekly, you are working for around 30 hours, 40 hours. That's maximum allowed to you. Now if you ask them that I'm also handling the server part, so all the server okay, just a moment. Okay, now that profit also come to you. So that's, think about that. If you handle everything, profit is all yours. And of course there is a limit you can handle, but as much as you can handle, you should handle that. That's what I think. And the, see, there's one more thing, that when you understand how these things are working, suppose I mean, as a normal developer, I never thought of how the how the order scale happening. When I'm talking about around 3-4 years now, at that moment. Hi Shankadeep, how are you? You can ask question here also. Okay, now think about that. Suppose as a developer 3-4 year back, I have no absolute idea how our servers scaling happening. Suppose if an attack happened, what to do, I had no idea, to be honest. Now when I started learning about the cloud technologies, AWS, Google Cloud, Azure, I did that. I don't know. I didn't even hear about the Azure, so I didn't know about that. So mostly I worked in AWS part. Now at that moment, what I did, that I am just doing, cloud engineer was there. He said that give me some access to my machine to me, and I just use the PAM file and log into the machine, update the code, and that's it. I didn't have any idea how it's going to work. I mean, suppose there right now you have 10 customers. After 1 year, it could be 10,000. How one server can handle load? You don't have any idea if you don't actively have the knowledge of this DevOps, this all these cloud technologies. That moment, suddenly something triggered that, how I can handle that. That's why I start by myself. I set up the auto scaling, I set up the this load balancing and everything. So then onwards, new client came, and they asked for Sandeep, we want developer, but if you're busy, then you just did the do the deployment part. I said, okay, deployment part doesn't take much time, so I did it. That's how you can do all these kind of things, and that's profitability actually. That's what I'm mainly saying. Now, as a backend developer, you will find it's easy, but the problem are mostly faced by the front end developer because they don't have this all complex knowledge of servers. But if you, whatever is your background, I mean, see, people are from the normal non-tech background also, doing very good progress in cloud, so you can do it. Anyone can do it, I believe. Now, here one more thing, that before actually, what I believe that, see, there are confusion about this certification and everything. I will say, before going for certifications, have the domain knowledge. Suppose you are going to appear for AWS certification, then actually learn about that. I mean, you have to actually do hands-on. There are courses in Udemy also. There are courses in a cloud guru. There are courses in Linux Academy. So just go there, do the course, and when you're comfortable, see, do whatever from whenever you want. There is tutorial dojo. There is even a cloud guru also have their own exam simulator. So use those. Or just because if you go to exam, and if for exam you're paying more than 10,000 rupees and you fail the exam, that's a total loss. I mean, I myself lost around how much? I think 20, 30,000. I tried, but I failed miserably. I'm talking about around 3 year back scenario. So then I thought, because if I hey Akshay, hi. So at that moment, I thought, okay, it's not working. So I invested my time. I learned by all by myself, and how the cloud technologies work, how I can deploy a simple application in AWS, and there onwards, I did able to do all the things. I mean, at some point you have to start, then you will be able to do it. Either you are backend developer, front end developer, doesn't matter. You have to start at a point. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, okay, okay. Hey, hi, Dinakar. Okay. Hey, hello, the nutty dev. Okay, okay. I think there's another question. Let me see. Hmm. There's another question about, I have to make a website for internship. It's kind of big project for me. I have learned backend, front end, but don't have much knowledge on how to integrate them, and how to start with the project. I'm getting confused as to how to start and proceed. Okay, before starting any project, outline the project. Suppose you have you have project. Before starting any project, you have the basic idea that how the project going to proceed, what is it about. Break the project into smaller pieces and make the version wise. Suppose in version one of the project, I will cover this will be the feature list. In version 2, I will have this set of features. You have to make different versions, and you are going to cover in all this kind of thing. Now in the version 1, it should be minimal changes. Like suppose your site must have at least initial pages, right, and the front end pages, and for to support the pages, you may need some backend APIs. So at that moment, you what you have to do, first make the backend. That's easier than front end, because front end there is a lot of changes. So first make the backend all APIs, and after that done, start the front end integration. That's how it does. Because when I started, actually I didn't started. Suppose a project come and I have to work as a full time full stack developer. Then I ask about the project and they tell me all the details, and according to that, I create the backend API first. If there is no front end developer and I'm the only one, I started the because normally as a developer, I don't do the HTML parts. HTML parts someone else do. By then I develop the backend APIs. Once they are ready with the HTML, I go and integrate with the APIs. That's how it actually I done. I mean, I did, and and there is one more thing. When when you're doing all these kind of things, make sure you maintain the test cases. Otherwise, at the end, it will become messy, and doing the all test cases will be very problematic for you. And there is one more thing that before any project start, you have to actually know, make a project outline, and in that project outline point out that this API for this use cases and this API for this. That how you will later remember, okay, I use for this and this. Is actually your normal documentation. That is fine. You can use API. There is many modules available for Node.js module. Just simply maintain in comment section, and then it automatically generate. That also fine, but maintain it, because later wise if it's a big project, you will forget it for sure. So to remember, to remind yourself what I did and what was the parameters and everything, or make the documentation, it's good to use those kind of automation tools, but that's up to you. Now there is another question. Okay, I have no idea on certifications. See, for the certification, just start hands-on. I mean, go to suppose you are going to, again I'm just repeating myself, but still, go to AWS. You're going for the AWS certification. Go to AWS console, add your credit card. See, there is a free trial period is there for 1 year. So but don't use, there is a free trial available, only use the free trial. And then you run the instance, do the auto scaling, load balancing, do parameter store, all those kind of things you try it out. And once you think that your basic is okay, then apply for the cloud practitioner. Once you pass the AWS practitioner exam, then go for that associate certification. Mainly, everyone start with the cloud solution architect associate exam. So I will suggest that too. If you're a developer, you can just directly go for the developer certification, and after that, see the third one. It's a very tough one. I will honestly say. So normally, if you have very less knowledge, you're never going to pass. That is for the SISUP exams. So go for that if you're completely confident. You prepared yourself in tutorial dojo or wizlab. Go there, try the exams, you will find out you are good or not. Okay, so that's the start point, I would say, with the cloud practitioner. Then slowly go with all this. Now suppose your farm is working with Google Cloud or Microsoft Azure. Then I will see, you don't have to go to, you have to learn AWS, because see, ultimately, where your projects are already running, you have to prioritize that thing. I know a person came to me as saying he's working in Azure, he want to certify in AWS. I say, why you need to certify? He say it will be a good status, it will be cool. Nothing cool to pass the certifications. Yes, a message came. Okay, so nothing cool about that. I mean, you have to actually apply those knowledge in your job. Otherwise, there is no usage. Suppose you earn a certification and you don't use for a few months, you will forget definitely. So what I will definitely suggest that do certification in actually in which platform you're working. Otherwise, it's useless, honestly, because anyway after 2 3 years it's going to expire. So you have to reapply for the, I mean, retry the exam. So don't take over it. Only go for certification if your firm is using it. Suppose you are doing it for your own learning purpose, I mean your sole experience gathering or knowledge purposes, then you're free to do anything, because that doesn't matter. That you can go ahead with that. And I would say the Microsoft Azure certification I didn't did yet, but I was preparing for the fundamentals, which is simple, still simple enough. Tough part is, I would say, professional exams, because I already tried for two professional exams. That is AWS DevOps professional and AWS that solution architect professional, and I failed in both, because these are very tough, and you need to actually work on is very extensively. Otherwise, it's very hard to pass. There are courses which are good in a Cloud Guru or in other, but those are not enough to make you pass the exams. You have to actually study as well as apply those skills in your job, and it need practical experience. Then only you will be able to pass. Otherwise, there is no chance. So that's what I'm saying. If you want to really pass the examination, study hard, try the exam simulators in different site that is available. I will mainly highlight Tutorial Dojo and Lab. Those are very excellent. I mean, I tried myself. See, you want to master vanilla JS, go to W3 schools. That is the easier one. But there is a eloquent JavaScript. You don't know JS. Those are very good resources. You can actually try. Actually, let me give you the link for that Git. That is for you don't know JS. JS. Okay, I'm giving you the link so you can try it out yourself. So this is a very good source for JavaScript learning. Okay, yeah, those are also good resources. Yeah, hi Ayush. So you are ultimately came. Okay, okay, thank you everyone. So yeah, so what I'm saying is that try yourself. I mean, prepare yourself very best. Otherwise, passing in this examination very tough. So mind in that, because don't waste your money. That's also very costly examination. Okay. Now let's talk about some DevOps practices, because cloud I talked about a lot. I mean, certification and all that. But suppose, okay, before even going to DevOps, I want to talk about something. See, why people are all the companies nowadays moving to cloud? Because normal on-premises system they're going to break anyway anytime, and your weekend's going to destroy. That happened with me. I mean, I worked in some on-premises system, and those finally make sure that I didn't able to sleep for a few days. That happened. So what I additionally did, I asked my past client to move to cloud, because I want to make sure that I have sleep in weekends at least. So their question was, are you able to handle? I mean, are you able to handle the cost in future? I say I will handle everything. That time I was not that good in cloud. I'm talking about 3 years back at the moment, and okay, then I actually studied. I did some courses online. Then I could know, okay, for this service this is going to cost, and this service that going to cost. But I made a budget alert, and suppose any service is crossing that budget, I'm monitoring that. I'm finding where it's making the cost. So when you start in the cloud, make sure you set the budgets. Otherwise, when suppose it goes out of hand, that will be very painful for you. That happened with me once a time. I try to deploy myself. Similarly, that can happen with you. So make sure you set the budget alarm. So if anything goes out of hand, you will stop the service, or maybe use some alternative service. So make sure of that. Now, benefit of clouds, there is another more thing, this flexibility. Now suppose in normal machines, it's very limited. I mean, suppose it's on-premise system, it's very limited, and something, suppose high load come, then it will not able to handle, for sure. So but if you are using cloud technologies, I mean, any cloud, could be AWS or Azure or GCP. Suppose you deploy your application there, and you set up the auto scaling and load balancing properly, any amount of load come, it can handle automatically. That is the point actually I chose, that okay, I'm just leaving this on-premise system, all this deployment thing. I go for the cloud technologies at the moment. My whole aim was that I want to be more risk free, and if any fault happen, there is auto scaling. Suppose one machine gone bad, and one machine will be automatically created, and there is automation script there. It will install the needed software. It will get the package from S3. It will deploy the app accordingly. So that I did, and that worked very well for many projects. There is one more thing I want to explore. That suppose in cloud technology, any cloud, there is more or less all the service provider provides same kind of service anyway. So, but when choosing, look for the market leader. If you choose the market leader, then what will happen, that their cost will be lesser than other services. because they have a lot more clients, they have a lot more resources, so you can use that. One more thing, suppose you are going for AWS or similar other cloud provider, everyone have similar to spot services. Now what are the spot services, I mean spot instances? Suppose you need for some few hours, then you can actually spin a spot instance that will lower your cost very much. I mean, even more than 90% cost you can save if you choose spot instance, if that is for a few hours, and if it's okay if it's terminated, so that is fine. In that cases, use the spot instance. And suppose you have you are sure that the load going to be, I mean the application going to be live for 1 year or more, then go for the reserve instances. Many people don't know that at the initial level, so you have to learn about those kind of things so you can save cost for your company or maybe for yourself. So remind on this kind of thing. Okay, now let's talk about the DevOps topics, which I wanted to cover more. Now, DevOps, or you can say mostly when I talk about DevOps, people are talk about CI/CD pipeline and all those kind of things. But DevOps is not about the some CI/CD tools or some CI/CD, or maybe some packaging. Nothing. It's a concept. How can you actually, the developer and operation team combine? How can maintain all the deployment flow? Or actually, for your organization, how can everything go smooth? I mean, in DevOps, actually, some guidelines you can actually say, some best practices you can follow. So manage applications and deploy it. You can do the mode of automation. You can go towards automation much. Now, in DevOps, if we say about the CI/CD pipeline, you can any most of the cases there is open source technologies like Jenkins is there, and such is there. I use Jenkins most, so I talk about that. You set up everything. You can use the marketplace of any cloud provider to start the Jenkins instance and do all kind of things. That is fine, but you have to actually look for which is cheaper. Suppose most of cases cloud providing companies have their own CI/CD tools. You first focus there. Because they are more scalable than Jenkins or other open source solution, and because this cloud providing services actually manage that actively, so that will be much useful for you because that's very well managed service. So because what I'm telling it, because I tried actually Jenkins and some cases didn't work, not that fluently. And at that moment, I used AWS code deploy services, which work like charm. I mean, I have total around 40 servers for a client. I tried using Jenkins and other things, but that didn't work. But when I used AWS code deploy, that worked very fine. So you have to actually check if any cloud providing services giving natively some tools, you should go and use this kind of thing. Now, in DevOps, or not actually, not in general as DevOps, when you're actually developing application, you have to think a little bit about the portability and how can you use your code. And in that context, I think Docker and Docker is very useful for everyone. Now, what is Docker? I already made some video series in Docker in my last YouTube videos. You can check there. So Docker, ultimately, what you're doing, you're packaging your application inside Docker image, and then you're using the Docker image to run on, because it's going to be same thing. It's going to run on Windows machine or Linux machine or Mac machine. It doesn't matter. So there is some dependency which doesn't supported by Windows machine. Doesn't matter because you're going to run your Docker image inside a Docker instance. So that's what I'm telling, that use those kind of services which will improve your code efficiency and your less this code shifting problem, because most of happen what in past what happened that I did develop some application and that didn't work in other developer, so they're saying something wrong with the codes and all that, but it was not that wrong with the code, but the platform, because the package I was using, it was not supported in that platform. But then we started using Docker. So I make the Docker image and I just give the Docker image to is provided inside of EC2 cloud specific open source. Although I'll come to that later. So in that context, it's become, the portability become very good. And suppose there is one more thing I will come later. Okay. And there is one more thing that the Docker image did is that you can deploy using Kubernetes. I mean, in Kubernetes you can use Docker image to deploy your code and all that. Now that's a very large topic. I will cover in more next videos. But think about the scaling and the modern scaling. You can say or modern code deployment. Kubernetes is excellent. If you don't know about Kubernetes, go search about it. You will get resources about that. Even I am released some videos on Kubernetes. You can check also that on the same. Okay, now but yeah, then what are these features Docker supply? Now suppose you have one server and that gone down, and you're starting a new server, and that server, again some package installations going on, some code building is going on, that will take time, which is ultimately time loss. That is bad for your business. But suppose you need rapid scalability, and suppose one server is down, that means your business loss. If you use Docker, how quick it is. As soon as the machine start, it pull the Docker image, or maybe the Docker image already in this machine, and everything is there because it's Docker image. You put all your dependency in the Docker image, and that works like a charm. And as soon as the machine start up, it's just running the Docker image, and everything is fine. That way, what will happen is that there will be no downtime actually. Maybe a few seconds, but that is fine. While the load balancing happen, that will be to manage. Now the microservices cases are okay. s- there are many approaches, and out of which microservice approach is there. Where suppose you have multiple, think about some big teams. One will work on another one feature, and another person will on another feature, and it's maybe some dependencies are there. In that cases, one team can quickly build or work on or build on one feature, and as soon as they are done, they will deploy a change. Their changes, and when the changes are very small, the testability of the change and the time will take is very less. That's how actually how what you can do. You can do multiple or as many deployments is possible. You can do it as needed actually. So in that way, you don't have to wait for testing team to team and all this kind, because the changes in microservices approach, the change is very smaller. And as an example, I can give a lambda function I did created a long back, and that doesn't have actually a dependency. It is as a microservice approach. I just a function, and I just make some change. That doesn't need much test. I just deployed it immediately the new version. That way, there is no downtime, nothing. There is so this kind of features are there. Also, in microservices approach, the code maintainability will be higher because it's not a single monolithic application. Everything, see, feature wise will be in different microservices that I can manage. One another feature microservice I will say that suppose something fails, a microservices fail, then one service will fail, not your entire infrastructure will fail. Infrastructure will fail. That's a very good point also. If you keep manage, I mean, if you're managing the microservices. Okay. Now, in microservices also, if you look at there is many approaches. Like you can actually, but mostly the Docker getting used, and why is getting used. I'm just explaining a little bit. In Docker, suppose the microservices need some dependencies, it just package itself, and you just deploy the Docker image to your whatever is your deployment, and that's done. And you can do it as much as possible. And similarly, there is in serverless, as when you do the microservice approach, all your dependencies you're mentioning in your package, and that's get downloaded. I mean, that get installed automatically. And this approach actually good. Suppose one particular service is taking much request than one another service, so whatever is your limit setting, I mean the load balancing or the auto scaling limits for the these particular microservices, you can give them higher bandwidth or higher resources to that microservice. And whatever not much getting used, you don't have to assign much much resources for that microservice. So those kind of approaches are there. How does a simple REST service and microservice different from each other? Simple REST service and microservice different from each other. Now, simple REST service can be see a particular simple API can be a microservice as well if it's independent of all other dependencies. Suppose it's packaged itself in a particular. Okay, to explain this, in monolithic application, what happens that your databases, all your configuration, all this cluttered inside a single application. In microservices, it's not like that. A particular service, particular database connection or records, and that decide it's itself a particular project. That is the high difference. Now a particular maybe a microservice, particularly it's just a single API, that is fine, but all your all this time span or life cycle is within that particular project. That is what I think. That's by Vinod. Okay, so that also in mono the application you have multiple APIs, but in microservices is mostly that. Okay, so it's mostly it's all depending on a single project, but the it's a smaller scale. I think that's the important one. Okay, okay. Now let's talk about programming. So I think right now in programming space, Python and Node.js are mostly getting higher job opportunities and all. Now, there is some PHP developers which were asking me that how to learn Node.js quicker and actually get a job. So I will suggest that whatever project, suppose you have a very small project in PHP, try to translate that PHP project into Node.js, like normal the REST APIs, or maybe how you can put the data in front end if you're using server-side rendering. That way you can work it out, and you will get knowledge slowly. Once you're get used to it, you can try for the interviews and you can get the job. Now in backend technologies in Node.js, you have mainly have to understand it's event driven, not like PHP. And in Node.js, it's just a platform, right? So you have to actually understand the JavaScript technologies better, because ultimately in Node.js applications, it's using the JavaScript as a programming language, and you're using the Node.js interfaces to use machine. I mean, using its methods, its features to interact with the services. And okay, and I will say that whatever you learn in Node.js, apply. Just try it out here and there. There is some service. I mean, there's online service available where you can actually test Node.js codes, or you can just actually use your machine to test Node.js codes and then try it out. I will say that when you go for interview, they will mainly ask about how how what event driven, how it works. Choose must understand. Yeah, that's right. So as I'm gonna, yeah, that's what I'm telling, that how the event-driven whole technology works. You actually have to understand, and interview will ask about that only. And there is now they will ask about how the REST API, I mean, how the request and response scenario works, how can you access the request parameter or query parameter. They will sometime ask you about how can you manage multiple APIs and versioning and all this kind of thing. Suppose the request is higher, then how you load balance, or how your internal communication will work. Maybe you have 10 servers, you have to pass one message from one Node.js instance to other. How will manage this? So this kind of common scenario you will have to face in this real programming world. In PHP could be there, but in Node.js, this kind of real-time application you develop, so you have to understand all this kind of scenario. And one more thing is WebSocket technologies. You have to actually understand very good, because mostly chat application these days getting developed in Node.js. So you have to actually understand how you can use WebSocket technologies, how this messaging passing between server and client works. How can you and actually manage a lot of messages, because normally when chat happens, there's a lot of barrage of messages happen. And how you can actually load balance it or handle it, those kind of things actually tried out. Now, there is no hard rules or no standard package, but Socket IO getting used by everyone. So I will suggest that only if you're going for. But some cases, Socket IO is also not enough. In those cases, you have to actually use WebSocket native library. Using WebSocket native library, you can actually implement everything. Doesn't matter, you don't have any constraint or anything, so you can use it. And now, if you think that how can you learn all these kind of things, you can go to WebSocket documentation, or using in Socket I also they have very good documentation. You can actually go there and try it out. They have for all languages. You just go and you will get everything. And I'm thinking about writing a maybe smaller post about these WebSocket technologies. Maybe I will do next week, or maybe within next few days I will just do it. Now, the thing is, okay, okay. So I promise that I will be discussing about how to get jobs in programming, all these kind of things, and how to acquire client if you're not want into job, you're just trying for freelancing and everything. Now, to get job, you have to actually practice a lot on in programming languages. You have to understand the normal working scenario, all this kind of they will mainly ask, suppose, how a API request work, how actually Ajax request work, or how can you fetch the data from one server to another server. Those kind of common approaches they will common questions they will ask, and you have to actually answer it. If you're in front end or back end, this kind of question are actually common. Now, if you're a backend developer, they will ask you about mostly the server side questions. How can you actually interact with databases? What database you worked with, or is it what is the difference between non-relation and relation database? Those kind of normal questions will be there. You can study about it, and suppose they will ask MySQL, how you can actually insert a record in MySQL. So all those kind of things they will ask, and if you did practice enough, you will get job there. It's not that big deal. For the front end developer, they will actually may ask you to actually do some designing, and show them how you did, how this UI UX thing is there. They will ask about all these kind of questions. I think there is full stack or some site is there where you will get all this question. You can just go there, and you will find, let me actually give you where you can find all this question. Full stack cafe. Okay, got it. So this is a very good site that I will suggest. So go to this site. It have a lot of questions. You can find all the questions here, and you can actually try it out. I like that site because normally a few days back, few students came and said I want to know about all these interview question. I just give them site to them, and they actually tried. I mean, check all the question, and they got the job. So it's questions that actually even the interviewer what they do is they actually copy paste from these places. So it's easy for you if you get prepared from all these questions. Now the very crucial part: how can you actually acquire the client? Freelancing sites don't work honestly, because if you see, okay, if you see that, if you go for freelancing site, they're like people working want to work for actually $1, $2, or $5, even free if you ask them. So how in this very competitive market, how you can actually acquire client? Now, if you're thinking that you want to, if you go for freelancing site, you put your $5, $10, $50 tag on your profile, very good looking profile, no one will look at it. Honestly, that and because of this high competition is there, that's why no one will look on your profile. How can you actually acquire client then, if freelancing site don't work for you? There is many ways, out of which the effective ones attend the technical events, talk with the entrepreneurs, talk with your fellow developers. That's the sweet spot. I mean, that's how you can actually get good clients, a good friend, mentors. I go there and I just, as soon as even if I go to any such event, people like come to me, say, Sandeep, will you work for with our company? Will you? I have this client. These have these requirements. Will you? I mean, this happen like charm. If you go to freelancing side, you see people are killing each other with low rates. And if you go to tech events, they are asking you if you can join their project. That's a sweet spot how you can actually get client. Number one. Number two, which is also a very common way, but people are busy in commenting, I need job, I need job. No, if you're using LinkedIn, if you have Twitter, post very useful content that attract customers. Suppose I'm into cloud technologies, and suppose some client looking for the client side architect or something. Since I post a lot of content using for cloud, they will see a post. They will eventually see it, guaranteedly, because they are also constantly searching for it. If you constantly post about cloud, similarly, suppose you're a Node.js developer, and if you're constantly posting about Node.js content in LinkedIn or Twitter, they will notice you, guaranteed. And if your content are good, if you're actually it's the original content, it's much more better. They will get more interested in you, and they will reach out to you. That happened because last 5 6 years I'm doing full-time freelancing. All clients coming from LinkedIn. I mean, not anywhere else. Yeah, I mean, by reference is there, but the initial client coming through LinkedIn, then I'm working with them, and they're getting satisfied. Then they're referring to other client. That is fine, but the initial source actually coming from LinkedIn. That's what I'm telling. Then comes the actually even with the people I talk in different events, they actually first reach out to me, or I reach out to it, or we talked in LinkedIn first. Yeah, that is right. $5 is $5 is one. But not only that, even if you go to freelancing.com, they will charge $1. I mean, like, how can people charge $1? I will I will know let you know what they're doing, but let me explain. How actually you can get clients. So using LinkedIn connection, I mean LinkedIn. If you suppose LinkedIn connection looking for opportunity, I mean developers, you can just directly reach out. Hey, I have the skills. Will you be interested in hiring me? They will check your profile, have the interview. This is a very common approach you should actually do. Instead of you comment that I need job, message him, or reach out him by email or whatever needed. If you want to get this person email, use rocket search, or there is many such solution available. You will get anyone's email address and mobile number. Use those, doesn't matter. If you are in particular need of job, you have to use whatever solution is there to get the job. That is what I believed. So that is solutionary rockets, and similar is here and there. You can use and get that person's mobile number, email. You can actually shoot an email. That is also fine. If your skill actually matching, that person will definitely reach to you and give you job. That happened. I tried. That's actually few years back, around 3 year back or 4 year back, when I was looking for client, and I find a one client is a good approach. I use some kind of a solution to get his email, and then I mailed, see, I have this specific skill set, will you be interested? He schedule an interview and I get the job, which is a very, at that moment, it was a very good amount, if you're honest. So that's how it works. You have to actually, if you don't actually know how to use it, it will never work for you, whatever is the platform. So you have to actually use this kind of thing to get the clients. And I think, yeah, freelancing sites are at come at last. You go apply multiple times, but how actually you acquire client? See, if you also, you can actually offer less amount. Suppose the client work with you around, suppose 2 3 months, he got liking to you. That's the initial client. You ask the client that I'm looking for very more clients. Can you refer? If he's impressed with your lower rates, he will give you some client list or some friend list. You can reach out, say I'm work for him. He said me that you are looking for developer, and if you go to that person, you can if you can state to him actual rates, or maybe little higher rates. That previous client will not think about anything about you, because they will feel even happy. You're charging them less, and you're charging the next clients higher. That's how this business works for them. They actually even don't take any amount much. They actually don't do any quality work. this kind of developers who take $1, $2, because that is never possible to provide service in these rates. They get the client, ask the client for other references, friends who can hire them. They reach out to them, and someone hired them with the higher rates. That's how it all works. Okay, now, okay, I think that's it. I covered all this kind of thing in single session. Okay, it's already 50 minutes. I know initially I had some clutch in LinkedIn. Actually, I tried the LinkedIn Live. Unfortunately, that didn't work. I don't know why. Maybe I will complain to LinkedIn and the stream why it didn't work. But I will try to get live in LinkedIn because that approach better, because more of my people, or I talk about my friends or everyone in LinkedIn. So yeah, that would happen. So yeah, even when I come, suppose that never this LinkedIn Live never work, then I will always use YouTube Live for live streaming. I will try to be live at least once a month. Now I don't, just so you know, I don't write any script. I like to do session like this. Even most of the videos I do are not written scripts. Mostly I what I think I tell. That's how it works. Okay, I hope you all enjoyed. If you have any questions, you can always message me in LinkedIn. I will always listen to you and reply as soon as possible. Okay, bye everyone.